Akaram Shankhachakras-dharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. When awareness is separate and distinct, it's indeed a pleasure to welcome each of you to join hands with us. Today's session will be on Dharana and Dhyana by Swami Yogaratna Saraswati. Swami Yogaratna Saraswati was trained as a sannyasin disciple of the Bihar School of Yoga, which was founded by Swami Satyananda Saraswati of Rishikesh. Swamiji was born in Paris of Australian parents who moved to India. She grew up in Bombay. After her schooling, she went to Australia for further education and work and lived there for 13 years. After experiencing Western life to the full, she began the spiritual search, traveling throughout the world and returning to India in 1984. She joined the Bangalore branch of Bihar School of Yoga, Atma Darshan Yoga Ashram. She took sannyasa diksha in 1985 and served in the ashram for 21 years. Since the last 10 years, Swamiji is in her own ashram, Shankar Prasad, near Gokarna, on the coast of Karnataka, with an organic farm and a play school for local children. Swamiji has over 30 years experience teaching in Europe, Australia, and India, from asanas, pranayamas, and shatkarmas to yoga therapy, including cancer healing and now post-COVID recovery. Since COVID started, Swamiji has held regular free online events for students to stay connected with the ashram and for uplifting our spirits. Weekly free programs such as Havan with 108 Mahamrityunjay mantra chanting, Vichar Vimarsh, and many more, which has brought a sense of calm and relief to many from around the world. She researched on various topics, to mention a few: yoga for augmenting Ayurveda, and yoga and meditation for finding the self through nature in Swaswara Om Beach, Gokarna. Swamiji is particularly appreciated for her talent in giving Yoga Nidra, relaxation meditation, or yogic dreaming. She has developed courses in advanced Yoga Nidra and Yoga Nidra teachers training. Swamiji is also well versed in all meditations from the Tantras, the higher techniques of Chakra Sadhana, Kundalini Yoga, Nada Yoga, and many others. And this is why we have invited Swamiji on this auspicious occasion to give a talk and practice in Dharana and Dhyana in continuation with our program on the 8 limbs of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. Swamiji's aim is to help people relieve their suffering and develop themselves through the awareness and the science of yoga. She offers individual and group classes and guidance at the Shankar Prasad Ashram, as well as travels wherever requested for special programs. Swamiji continues working as a yoga advisor, yoga therapist, teacher and spiritual counselor in Gokarna and wherever invited. Her life's work is spiritual practices for a divine purpose. Swamiji, we welcome you to today's session. I would also like to mention the session will continue till 8:15 p.m. The chat box will be activated for Q&A at that time. Please feel free to ask your questions and Swamiji will be happy to answer them. Over to you, Swamiji.
Thank you very much, Aruna. That was such a beautiful introduction. I don't think I've ever heard such a lovely introduction. Thank you so much. And welcome, everyone. I've already had a look at the list of people, a lot of people, and quite a few of my friends are here. So I'm really happy. I feel well supported with my friends here. And I really thank Amar and Bindu and Mirakula Yoga for inviting me. It's a great honor to talk to everyone, especially on this subject, because I don't think I've ever been requested to talk on what I think is quite an academic subject. But I don't think I'm a very academic person, so I won't be able to talk about it in a very academic way. But I must say that I attended the talk yesterday by Pradeep, and it was really enlightening, and it was so good. And it was really actually very useful because when I think of, when we talk about Dharana and Dhyana, we're talking about the Ashtanga yoga of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the 8 limbs of yoga, and how we develop from one end to the other end in our lives. And I was thinking about how it's kind of formed, and really what Pradeep was saying yesterday, and what I really realized is that the first 2 limbs that people usually ignore are really essential to help us to purify ourselves and our mind, to get all the negativity and the karmas and the traumas and past impressions out, so that by the time we get to Dharana and Dhyana, our mind is relatively clear, and so it's easier to proceed. And one of the things you see, Dharana and Dhyana, loosely you could say the definition loosely of Dharana and Dhyana is meditation. And when we sit the meditation, the thing that is most the biggest problem is the wandering mind, and the biggest problem is focusing your mind, and the biggest problem is all the thoughts that keep coming up. I mean, everyone has that problem, even the most experienced meditator. And when you look at the whole Ashtanga 8 limbs, you realize that it's so well planned, because those Bahiranga limbs in the beginning of yamas and niyamas and asanas and pranayams, they really help to prepare the consciousness by purifying the body and the pranas. And as you all know, we're a combination of those panchakoshas. We're not just the mind, we're not just the body, we're not just the soul, but all those parts of us are essential parts and a conglomeration, so that we can experience life, and to be able to reach that kind of penultimate of Samadhi, which, as Pradeep was so rightly saying, that's the purpose of yoga, no, yoga moksha or something like that he was saying. It's something that we forget, because now yoga has become such a kind of a commercial gymnastic thing that we forgot what was the primary purpose of yoga. And when you look at it, really those first angas or steps in the 8 limbs is really a preparation to help the mind to be calm and one-pointed, so that we can experience the consciousness and energy behind the mind. So coming back to the actual term of Dharana and Dhyana, it's difficult to separate them from what comes before in Pratyahara and what comes after in Samadhi. because after you've done your yamas and niyamas and asanas and pranayams, and you sit down for meditation, our awareness is made for experiencing and interacting with the world through the senses, the jnanendriyas, and the actions and interactions, the karmandriyas. And so we're so used to being externalized and extroverted and interacting with the world and enjoying everything in life that most of us have forgotten, or most of us don't realize that we have an inner world. And just a little aside, I remember when I first learned Yoga Nidra, when I entered the ashram, it was kind of mind-boggling. I suddenly realized that my inner world was valid. I still have, I guess, a very fertile, creative inner world, but I never used to really take much notice of it because no one ever gave it credence. And even though I came from an artistic background, and so, imagination and all the things that you can think of internally are important, the inner world was not really acknowledged as a kind of an entity or something valid. But then when I learned Yoga Nidra, and I discovered that Chidakash is a valid thing, and everyone has a Chidakash. It's quite okay to see things inside. You're not crazy if you see things inside. It was just like an opening of a whole new universe. And to me, that's one of the things that is really important and good about this aspect of studying, the pratyahara, the dharana, and the dhyana, and the samadhi. That yes, we've finished with the outer world, or we've not finished with it, but we've developed it to the full. We've enjoyed it to the full. And so now it's time to develop and explore and experience the inner world, so that ultimately, with the balance of the inner and the outer, you get to experience the consciousness and energy behind everything. So when we start doing meditation or dharana and dhyan, of course, before that, it's good to do the pratyahara, where you withdraw your mind or your senses from the external world, and you go within. And then you start exploring your inner world. Now, when you can't see and you can't hear and you can't smell and you can't taste and you can't feel, the only thing left to experience is what's going on inside. And what's going on inside is all the manifestations of your mind. And that is so well documented in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. But then you have to kind of wade through all that to be able to get to what we call the ultimate samadhi. And the whole point is, when we sit for meditation, usually the mind is just going on and chattering and carrying on, and everything is just coming up, and so much so that most of us don't even realize it. We do our japa, we focus on the breath, we focus on the body, we focus on the symbol, whatever it is that is our focus of awareness. But we don't really realize that our mind is still running a mile a minute and going through all those things. So we try and focus and concentrate, and the things come up. And as they come up, it's kind of like the stuff that's hidden in the subconscious comes up to the light of awareness. And as soon as we realize what it is, we can let it go, and it goes out just like bubbles coming up to the surface of the water. So dharana is concentration. The definition of dharana is concentration. So you're sitting there, your body is already comfortable, your body is already still, you've already shut off all the sense impressions by withdrawing your mind, and now you're experiencing what is going on inside. And you're trying to focus all that static and movement that's going on inside on one point. And so there are many different ways of focusing on that one point. And the best thing is to find the way that you love the most. some people, they really love to see things and to keep their eyes open. And this is really, even though we think of meditation usually as eyes closed, it is very useful to keep your eyes open, so that to stay awake, but also to trick the mind. When I was doing a lot of tratik in the early years, I would do tratik on the candle flame, and I'd be gazing at the candle flame with my eyes open, and then my mind would go all over the place. And then I'd realize my mind's going all over the place. So then I'd close my eyes, and then my mind would be very still because there was something new to look at. And then after a while, it got used to that, and then it started going all over the place again. So then as soon as I realized, I'd open my eyes again, and then there would be something different to see, so the mind would settle down. And so by process of opening and closing the eyes, it didn't have to happen very quickly, but by doing that, I was able to trick the mind into being quiet and eventually settling down. So it's good. Basically, dharana, the definition of dharana is concentration, but it's not a very successful concentration. It's a concentration that is broken. It's a concentration that you are making an effort to do, but it's not 100% you're able to do it, because we all know that our minds are like monkeys jumping up here and there, and it's a process of training. So a process of practice and training. So you're sitting there and you're doing your practice, and you're able to sit comfortably, you're able to be still, you're able to leave the external impressions and interactions with the world, and you're able to focus on your point of focus. So I'd like to just talk about that point of focus, because it's important that you find something that is going to be easy to focus on. So as I was saying, if you like to have your eyes open, do tratik. Tratik is a very simple and easy practice. Tratik means gazing. And usually we do gazing on the candle flame. Let me just turn my screen over, and you can see now what I'm facing. This is our chanting room, and this is the altar. And right there in the middle of the altar is the Jyoti flame. And the Jyoti flame is very easy to look at from wherever you're sitting in the room. And when we do the chanting here, when I do the chanting in our chanting room, I keep my eyes open and I keep them absolutely fixed on that flame in front of me, because it helps me to harness the mind. So just a moment, and I'll see if I can shut that dog out. 1 second. Good. So if you're doing tratik, you can do tratik on the candle flame, and you can do tratik on, that's probably the easiest thing, but you can do tratik on so many things. In the Zen system, they do tratik on the blank wall, and that is really nice because it makes you much more aware of what's actually going on in the mind. And it's kind of like you are focusing on nothing. When you're looking at the candle flame, you're looking at the flame, but when you're looking at the wall, it's kind of like you're looking at nothing. It's like gazing into space. And other things that I've discovered are really easy to do, and especially in Gokarna you can do them, is to gaze at the waves, the ocean waves. And this is really nice because they're always moving. And when an object is moving all the time, like the waves, with no particular direction, it's a very good kind of cleanser for the mind. And it's very easy to focus, because instead of your eyes moving and your mind moving, the object is moving. And so that helps to keep the mind calm and still. And gazing at the sky is very good. Gazing at a star is a little bit difficult because it's a bit tiny. Gazing at a photograph of your Ishtadevata, your favorite deity, or your guru, or even someone that you love very much, is also really, really good, because that harnesses your emotional energy, and it incorporates bhakti yoga into your Dhyana, into your Dharana. And you can also do something like tratik on a flower. If you choose a flower that's got a really lovely color, like we've got a lot of red hibiscus in the garden, and that against the green leaves, it's so intense that it's really captivating for the mind. So you actually have to choose something that is totally engaging for your mind. The more you like what you're looking at, the more you like what you're focusing on, the easier it is to focus. That's why bhakti yoga is such a powerful aspect of yoga. And if you are someone who loves to hear things, and you would prefer to focus on something that is sound, you could focus, of course, very common is to focus on mantra. And mantra has got a much deeper aspect than just sound. If you focus on sound, for example, you could be focused on nada. And you could be, if you are able to hear the paranad, or if you are, for example, able to chant Om and just focus on the sound of Om, or focus on the sound of water flowing, or a particular sound that you choose to listen to, or a sound that you mentally repeat. If you're more of an auditory person, then that would be an easy meditation to choose. And especially as in the Indian spiritual system, mantra is one of the most common things to focus on. It's definitely very advisable to harness your mind, to captivate your mind, to engage your mind. And if you've got a very active mind, a very chanchal mind, it's good to choose or to be given a complicated mantra that you have to really focus on to do it. For example, in our tradition of Satyananda Bihar Yoga, the 32 names of Durga is always chanted. And it's a fantastic mantra for meditation, because there are 32 different names, which means many more syllables. So your mind really has to focus on repeating it. And it's a very good way to engage your mind fully. And if you think of that, plus the effect that the mantra has on you for purifying and for overcoming negativity and your inner demons, it has so many different levels of efficacy as far as focusing and concentrating your mind. So if you're an auditory person, choose something that you can hear, or that you can mentally repeat like a mantra. And if you are a kinesthetic person and you like to feel things, then of course focusing on your breath is really nice. And that's another point of focus which is so universal, so popular, so prevalent, so useful, so successful, because as we all know, the breath is such a deep aspect of our experience. The breath is probably the first experience that we've ever had in life, because as a baby in the mother's womb, we were listening and we were hearing and feeling the rhythm of our mother's breathing. So that is a very deep, basic core experience. And when we turn our attention to our breathing, it helps us to take us to that very deep aspect of our being. So the rhythm of our breath, the sensation of our breath, the sound of our breath, especially when you do ujjayi pranayama, the psychic breath, where you contract your throat to narrow down the air passage, to make a soft hissing sound like a baby snoring. This is a really, really soothing sound, and it has its physical effect as well as the psychic and mental effect. And of course, it exaggerates the rhythm and sound of our breathing, which helps to engage the mind more. So basically, if you're a visual person, choose something visual. If you're an auditory person, choose something auditory. If you're a kinesthetic person, choose the breath or some kind of sensation. And perhaps if you're an intellectual person, you could choose, an idea or a shloka or something like that. I'm not very well versed in those things. But the point is, choose something that you like. And there's a beautiful story to illustrate this about the disciple. There's different variations of it, and I'll see if I can get a good variation where the disciple went to the guru and said, "I want to learn meditation." And the guru said, "Okay, take this mantra and chant it, and just focus on the mantra and keep chanting it." So the disciple goes off and he starts mentally doing his japa and everything. Then he comes back to the guru. He says, "I can't concentrate at all. I think of so many other things, and mainly I think of my buffalo because I love my buffalo so much." And the guru says, "Oh, really? Then what you should do is focus on your buffalo. And instead of saying your mantra, say Om Namo Buffalo, Om Namo Buffalo." So the disciple goes back and he practices and he keeps saying, and he thinks he's just focusing on his buffalo, and he keeps repeating the mantra, and he's at it and at it and at it. And then someone comes to visit and says, "Come on, let's go for the satsang." And he says, "Well, I can't." And the person says, "Why not?" He says, "Because I can't get out of the door. My horns are too big." So you see, he's so much into focusing on his buffalo that he becomes one with the object of meditation. So that's how it should be, that you focus on what you love so much. And this is actually one of the values of bhakti yoga, that you just keep focusing on the person that you love or on the divine. And then that will take you up to those higher levels. So the other thing is, apart from choosing something that really works for you, and of course your guru would help you with that, but sometimes you have to do that work for yourself, because your guru is not going to spoon feed you with everything. You've chosen your focus of awareness, and as Patanjali says, the first thing you should do, Sthiram Sukham Asana. First of all, get into a comfortable position. I think all of you realize how important it is to get in a comfortable position. But one of the things when I'm teaching meditation or giving courses is I always start with getting into a comfortable position and helping people find their comfortable position. Because as Swami Satyananda so rightly said, if you spend 5 minutes getting into position and 25 minutes shifting around, not being able to get comfortable, you're wasting your time. If you spend 25 minutes getting into a comfortable position and 5 minutes in a good meditation, then you're really achieving something. So it really, 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 really is important to get yourself comfortable. If you're not comfortable in the beginning, you're only going to get more uncomfortable later. So the first step is get yourself comfortable. And I would add to that have your back and head upright and straight, and find, because if you're slouching, you kind of block the energies halfway down, and then the energy can't move and you don't feel free. And I would add also, find your center of equilibrium. It doesn't say this in many books, but I found it really, really useful to find your center of equilibrium, because when you kind of consciously find that center of equilibrium, neither leaning forward nor back, neither to the right nor left, you kind of feel so settled and equiposed and balanced that it's kind of like automatically you relax into that position. So you're comfortable and you find your center of equilibrium. And then the next step is kaya sthairyam, or psychic body stillness. So he says, now get a comfortable and still position. So this is also really, really important. People don't give it enough importance, because if you start fidgeting or moving around, it just pulls your mind, it pulls your awareness back out. But if you spend time and effort on making your body still, not by force, but by relaxing into it, by enjoying it, by relishing that stillness, then it's kind of like an automatic click happens and your body gets set into that stillness. And then you can forget about the body and you can dive deep within and focus on, your focus of attention. And half your job is over. Once you get your body comfortable and still, then half your work is over and you will achieve your meditation so much easier. So I'm telling you this because dharana is concentration, but it's not continuous, unbroken concentration. And the way to get continuous unconcentration, which will eventually lead you to dhyan, is to first be comfortable, then be still, then focus on your point of concentration. But in between, after focusing on the stillness of the body, it's really good to focus on your breath, because breath is so soothing and captivating and mesmerizing, and it helps to calm and soothe your mind. And mantra also helps to do the same thing. So then automatically your mind becomes calm and soothed and focused. And then if you're focusing on something else apart from your breath, you'll be able to achieve that focus so much easier. So this is how to focus your mind. Now, once you're there and you're focusing your mind on your point of focus, whatever it may be, what to do. Most people say, oh, I tried so hard, but my mind was all over the place, or I went to sleep, or, the mind is just not cooperating. I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I can never concentrate. So one thing that is really important is don't fight with the mind. Fighting, if you try and force the mind to do something, you'll never achieve it. Don't get frustrated with the mind, because fighting the mind and trying to tie the mind up into a knot or put it into a box, it's like trying to fight with a shadow. Now, you see, if I'm trying to catch the shadow, I can't catch it. But if I know the quality of the shadow and I put it down there, then I've got that shadow there in place. So instead of trying to fight with the shadow, just understand how the shadow works and then use that. So instead of trying to fight with the mind, try and understand how the mind works and then use that. So first thing is choose something that you like to focus on. Second thing is simply be aware of your mind. You're focusing on your mind, suddenly you realize that you're thinking of something else. It's okay. It's normal. But as soon as you realize your mind has gone off, bring it back. Then again, it goes off. There it's gone again, and bring it back. Then again, it's gone. It's again, and it come back. So don't feel frustrated with the mind. Just do your job of being super, super alert, super, super vigilant and aware, so that you can catch each time the mind goes off. You can catch that it's gone off, and you get to realize sooner and sooner until you can actually realize that the mind is wanting to think of that. It's about to think of that. And then you say, no, you come back here and focus on this because this is more interesting. So if you have it like that this is more interesting, it's not like I don't want to focus on it. I do. I love to focus on that. I've chosen something I love to focus on. So I focus on something that I really love. And then when it goes off, it's gone off. It's okay. Now let me bring it back. And you keep bringing it back until the time lag between when you realize that you got lost in some tangent is less and less and less. And until you can actually see that the mind wants to go, but you brought it back before it even goes. So this is the trick about focusing your mind until, with practice and practice and practice, acceptance and acceptance and acceptance, enjoyment and enjoyment, enjoyment. Eventually, your mind becomes one-pointed and calm and still. And in the scriptures, it says that Dharana becomes Dhyana when the concentration is like oil pouring without a break. It's like a very smooth flow. So instead of concentrating and then a break, concentrating and a break, concentrating and a break, it's kind of like a waterfall or like a flow of oil that's just smooth and calm. And when your mind is smooth and calm, then you can hope to experience what's behind the mind. Many people, I think, don't understand why we're focusing our mind. Why are we focusing our mind? Because we want to experience the consciousness, the awareness, the energy behind the mind. You see, the mind is so engaging, the mind is so intense, the mind is so active that it's always got us, where it's always got our attention, and we're not able to focus on something beyond and behind. And we think that the mind is the limit. And I think in Greek thing, they say, I think, therefore I am. So that person who said that didn't get to the next step of what's behind the thoughts. And mostly we're just totally involved with the thoughts, either through thinking or through the senses or through interacting. So what we're trying to do in meditation to reach Samadhi, to reach the ultimate limit, is to experience that energy and consciousness that is responsible for everything in existence and responsible for the mind. So what we have to do is we focus the mind in order to calm it down, to make it still, so that we can experience what's behind, what's beyond. It's a little bit like seeing that the ocean at night reflects the moon, but because of the waves, you can't see the reflection of the moon. It's just like little bits and pieces all the time. But when the ocean is totally calm and still, you can see the reflection of the moon really well. And that's what you want to do. You want to see the thing that is not able to see because everything is so agitated. And then eventually, instead of seeing the reflection of the moon, you look up and directly you see the moon. Another way of understanding this is that, like, the mind is like a smoke screen, that everything is going on there, and you don't realize that there's something beyond and behind. And once you realize it, you think, oh, wow, I want to get there. I want to experience it. I want to tap into it. So then you feel much more motivated to catch the mind out and be vigilant and experience what's behind the mind. So let's not lose the purpose of why we're doing the Dharana and Chant. We're not just doing it because the book says that you have to do it, but we're doing it in order to reach that consciousness and energy, which is the essence of everything. And once we taste it, once we realize it, once we taste it and can identify it and tap into it, then everything seems to kind of fall off, and we experience that moksha and realization of the great things in life. So when we get to the unbroken concentration, I think most of us don't get to that part, but sometimes it happens. And sometimes we actually experience the Samadhi as well, which is the aim or the goal or the next step after the Dhyana. And what was I going to say? I can't remember. So this is a little bit about what is Chant, what is Dharana, and what is Chant, and why we are doing it. I'm just thinking, are there any questions so far, or is it time to do a little practice? I think it's almost time to do the practice. What about the organizers? So one thing I say to people about practicing is start with something really easy. If you are already a practitioner, just start practicing being very still, being absolutely still, because that is going to improve your meditation practice. If you are a beginner, make a commitment to yourself to just do 5 minutes. If you do 5 minutes and you're perfectly comfortable and still, you will achieve a lot. And then once you've perfected 5 minutes, you can stretch it to 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and so on and so forth. So start with something that is really easy, so that, you see, if you say, okay, I'm going to do 20 minutes every day, and you only do 10 minutes, you feel, oh, I only did 10 minutes. But if you say, I'm going to do 5 minutes every day, and you do 10 minutes, you think, oh, wow, I did 10 minutes. So it's psychological. So you've got to do something that really makes it easy for you to do it, so that you want to do it, so you develop a love of doing it and an easy commitment. It shouldn't be like a duty or something that you force yourself to do. Oh, yeah, I've got to sit for my meditation. No, it's like you're looking forward to doing that, looking forward to becoming familiar with your inner world, looking forward to maybe having a peep and experiencing the thing that's beyond the beyond. And there's a very good meditation practice for this, and it's called Antar Maun. Antar means inner, and Maun means silence. And I'm actually giving a course in Antar Maun starting on Sunday. So if you're interested to attend that course, you can contact the organizers, and they'll tell you how to contact me and find out about the course. I think it'll be on the website. But in Antar Maun, what we do is, I was saying now that there are different things to concentrate on to help you focus your mind. In Antar Maun, we actually focus on the thoughts themselves, which is really, really interesting, because it's so difficult to concentrate on the thoughts, because it's kind of like the eye turning back and looking at the eye. You can't see your own eye because your eye is busy seeing. And it's very hard to kind of watch your thoughts, because you're using your thoughts to watch your thoughts. But it's kind of a really fun thing to do, especially if you're a smart person, or your mind is very chanchal, because it's kind of like a game. And once you realize that thoughts come and go all the time, but there is something that is always there, then you realize, yes, there must be something behind thoughts. I want to see if I can catch it. I want to see if I can experience it. I want to see if I can touch it. Because, now you are sitting here and listening to me, okay? The same person who's sitting here and listening to me is the same person who, as a child, was experiencing something else. So that same person who was a child so many years ago, the same exact person is now listening to me. So that is the part of you that you're trying to access when you do the Antar Maun. That is the part of you that you want to be with, the witness, so that you can see the antics of the mind, so you can see the thoughts coming and going. And then once you realize that, oh yeah, the thoughts are just a kind of a smoke screen or a veil, then you can hope to connect with that deep inner Antar Maun, energy and consciousness. So if you're interested, do come for that course. It's a 6-session course over 2 weeks. So it's every alternate day to give you time to practice in between. And I really love the practice. Once you learn it, you can do it 24 hours a day, because you just become so much more aware of how your mind works and what kinds of things and you think about. And once you become more aware of how your mind works, then you can guide your mind, and you can, you can befriend it, and you can use it to your advantage, and you can harness the power of the mind, because whatever you think, you create. Whatever you think becomes. The mind is so powerful, even though it's not the essence of our being. So once you learn those things, you can really have fun in having a very creative, powerful life.
So, Swamiji, I have a question. This is Kritika.
Yes.
How are you?
Yeah. Fine. Nice to hear
Hi.
you. I don't know whether the organizers are going to allow questions now. Can we have questions now?
Swamiji, we will enable the chat box at the end of the session. I would request you to let's continue with the practice now.
Okay, so let's do a little practice. It's difficult to gauge what kind of practice to do with everyone because some of you may be beginners and some of you may be adepts, but let's see what we can do. Okay, so let's start by sitting comfortably in a meditation asana. What I usually say is first get your legs comfortable. I think that it's going to be difficult to demonstrate how to sit with your legs, but I think most of you probably already have a meditation pose, and it's better to sit in the same one each time because your body is already used to it, and so it will slip into that state very easily. So make sure that your legs are comfortable, and once you've got your legs comfortable, then stretch your spine upwards and push your waist forward so your back straightens. And then imagine that a string is pulling you up from the top back of your head. And then check that your shoulders are loose and your arms also should be loose. And your hands could be in your favorite mudra or gesture. And then gently close your eyes. And feel the shape and position of your physical body and find its center of equilibrium so that it's neither leaning forward nor back, neither to the right nor left, but totally in alignment with the force of gravity. And say to yourself mentally, now I'm going to do a short meditation. I can and I will remain still easily. And if you do get temptations to move, just be aware of those temptations without actually giving in to them. Just for this short time. And from now on, absolutely no movement. And notice how you feel in this state. At this moment and before the practice, notice how you feel. And mentally chant Om or say a prayer to yourself, connecting yourself with the higher consciousness. And notice how that makes you feel. And then we'll start by making a tour around the body, relaxing, stilling, and loving each part of your body in turn to help settle your body into a comfortable stillness. Take your awareness down to your legs. Without moving your legs, just feel the shape and position of your legs. Legs are still and comfortable. Then come up to your torso. Torso upright, steady, and still. Then come to your arms. Arms still and relaxed. Come up to your head. Head balanced and still. Whole body. Feel your whole body comfortable, upright and still. And feel the floor or your support beneath the body. Still. Invite the stillness of the floor beneath up into your body. As if the floor and the body are carved out of one rock. Intensifying that feeling of stillness. Relaxing into that stillness. Enjoying that deep, peaceful stillness. No matter what happens outside, no matter what distractions, problems are going on outside, no matter what turmoils are happening within the mind, we can learn to switch off from the external disturbances and problems and the internal sufferings and turmoils, simply by switching on to the feeling of stillness in the body. Fully focus on that feeling of stillness. Let it fill your consciousness. After a while, the mind will start getting bored and wandering away and think of something else. It's okay, it's normal. But as soon as you realize that mind has gone off, gently bring it back. Keep bringing it back to fully focusing on the feeling of stillness. And once you're established in that stillness, Kaya Sthairyam, psychic body stillness, you may begin to notice a gentle, subtle movement going on within that stillness. The movement of the breath. Being very careful not to change the natural rhythm and movement of your breathing. If you want to, switch your focus of attention to the movement of the breath. Being careful not to change the natural rhythm. The skill is to be able to observe the breath and focus on the breath without changing it. To be able to focus and observe life without wanting to change it. Total acceptance. And focus on the movement of your breathing in whichever way you want to. In whichever way you're used to. And if you want to add mantra, you can mentally repeat your mantra or the universal mantra, so hum. So as you inhale, hum as you exhale. Or simply Om. Om as you inhale, Om as you exhale. Or even your sankalpa or an affirmation. But we only add these layers of focus to fully engage the mind. If your mind is just happy focusing on stillness, let it do that. If it loves to feel the movement of the breath, let it focus on that. Whatever the mind loves to focus on, choose that as your focus of concentration. And let that take you deeper and deeper and higher and higher. And when you're doing this practice by yourself, continue in this stage for as long as you can. And when your mind is totally calm and focused and relaxed, almost asleep, but not quite, then leave the breath, leave the mantra, and go beyond and behind to that deep, empty, silent, energetic space. Experience and explore that empty, nothing, silent space. And if thoughts come up, say, not now. Perhaps that empty, silent, nothing space is like a pool of golden light, energy. Let yourself soak in that empty, nothing energy. Silent spaciousness. Let that emptiness, peace, and energy recharge you and refresh you and give you what you need in your life at present. Let it fill your whole being, every level of your being. Let it nourish every cell of your body, mind, and prana. And notice how you feel in this state. And bring that experience back with you. Bring that state back with you. Come back now and bring back the inner experiences, insights, and energy. And on the way back, think of all the big and little good things in our lives. The things that we take for granted, like 2 good legs and a good place to live and enough food to eat and our good friends, good opportunities for this very moment. And mentally give thanks to the universe for all the good things in life. Nurturing an attitude of gratitude. And come back and notice how that gratitude makes you feel. Notice the effect. And come back to the movement of the breath in the body. Feel the breath continuing endlessly, knowing that this is an indication that you're alive and breathing. Come back to the physical body. Feel the shape and solidness of your physical body and notice if there's any pain or discomfort so that you can sit more comfortably next time. Come back to the floor and the support beneath us. To the space around. And to this room. And know that you are here now. And come back to the sounds happening around us. Listen to all the sounds. Coming back, reorientating to the external world of sounds and activities. Bringing back with you the experiences of the inner world through this short meditation practice. This meditation practice is over now. Take a few deep breaths in and out to break the stillness of the body. And we'll finish it off by chanting Om 3 times together, sending love and thanks to the world around. Take a deep breath in now. Om. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. Finish off with palming. Rub the palms together until they're hot. Put the center of the palms over your closed eyes. Draw in the energy generated from your palms into your eyes and brain to refresh them. And then gently open your eyes with a big smile on your face. And give that smile to everyone else. Put your camera on if you like. And keep that smile for the rest of the evening. Give it to everyone you see. And if you don't see anyone, just go to the mirror and give it to yourself. Smile at yourself like you're smiling at a good friend. Thank you. Thank you, Aruna.
Thank you, Swamiji. It was a wonderful and insightful session. It was delightful experience meditating with you, Swamiji. Now, I will read out the questions for you from the chat box in some time. Dear participants, the chat box is activated now. Please feel free to type your questions and Swamiji will be happy to answer. Meanwhile, participants are typing questions. I would like to announce that Swamiji is giving a course in Antar Mauna or inner silence from 27 June to 1st July in which we learn to witness and thereby manage the mind so that we can become more familiar with how our mind works and also learn how to replace negative thinking with positive attitudes, which is the need of the day. You will get the details of the course from the website www.shankarprasad.org. We'll be sharing in the chat box too.
Thank you.
I will read out the questions. K iPhone says, what is the difference between consciousness and awareness, Swamiji?
Well, to me, awareness is something that, well, I was going to say something that you do, but you can't say take your awareness here, take your awareness there. When you say take your awareness here, take your awareness there, it means your attention, your focus. But when you are aware of something, it's like a verb, it's something that you do. But consciousness is the thing that enables you to be aware. So consciousness is that knowing. It's like, it's the kind of the all-knowing, the almighty, the cosmic consciousness, the Paramatma. And a drop of that is within us, which enables us to be aware, to experience, to live, and to interact and enjoy. For me, that's the difference. It's like the doing, the verb, and the noun. So the consciousness is the stuff, and the awareness is the act of knowing.
Thank you, Swamiji, for the wonderful answer. Rosie Morgan says, thank you very much, Swamiji, and all the organizers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Usha
Thank you,
says,
everyone.
thank you, Swamiji. And Pankaj says, how to find the Guru. Uh,
How to find a guru. Yeah. I think you're lucky if you find a guru. I think if you're really desperate to find a guru, pray, because the cosmic consciousness is everywhere. It's right here now, and it knows what we're talking about. And it's omnipresent and it's omniscient. It knows everything, even what we're thinking before we realize. And it's omnipotent. It can do anything. So if you pray sincerely with Shraddha, then definitely the consciousness, the higher consciousness will respond and enable you to find your guru. Another thing that it says in the scriptures is that if you want to find your guru, prepare yourself and become a good disciple. So purify yourself, get into a good routine, and do the things that you know are good for you to get onto the spiritual path, or to be more you're aware of the spiritual aspect of life. And then when you're ready, the guru will appear.
Thank you, Swamiji, for giving this such a difficult question, and you have given such a smooth answer. It's very easy to understand. Going forward, Saras Shrikant says it was a mesmerizing experience, both the talk and the meditation practice, both an unexplained happiness. Thank you, Shrikant. Shruti says, thank you, Swamiji, for the wonderful session. Girish says, thank you, Swamiji, wonderful experience. Pallavi Rao, thank you for such a wonderful session. Madhurima Day says, thank you so much for such a deep and beautiful session. I found it difficult to get into the meditation with a full stomach, but once in meditation, didn't feel like coming out. How do I come out of the meditation on my own, or do not get disturbed with the sounds in the surroundings when the meditation is on my own? I think it's a big question. So do you want me to repeat, Swamiji?
Well, I wanted to say something about full stomach. In the scriptures, it says, don't meditate on a full stomach. But let me tell you one thing. If your mind is very, very restless, it's easier to meditate on a full stomach, because your mind is busy digesting your energies are busy digesting the food. And so a lot of the mental activity slows down. So it should be that you find that right spot. It shouldn't be that you're falling asleep. But if your mind is more calm after eating and relaxed, then it's easier to meditate after eating. So it's a kind of an individual thing. You have to see what suits you. And the other thing about going deep and coming back, actually, I found this meditation rather fast, because I knew that I only had 15 minutes. I was kind of trying to get everything squeezed in, and I would have liked to take it a bit longer. And I would suggest that if you are getting a copy of this meditation, you should add a few gaps in between to allow you to actually get into each stage. As far as coming out, probably you are in a good state of maybe Dhyana even, and it would be nice to stay on there. So stay there, relax, enjoy it. And then when your mind gets restless, then start coming back. And I always add the step of gratitude, nurturing an attitude of gratitude, because it's such a wonderful way to keep us happy, and it's such a wonderful way to make us into better people. I think that that's one of the most important things in life. So that's why I always add that. And so if you are in a good state of meditation, you can stay there for a while and enjoy it. But you have to be really, you have to be sharp, you have to be alert. If you are sitting there daydreaming, okay, that is a state of mind which is very nice, but it may not be Dharana and Dhyana. So if you want to get into that deeper and higher state, that daydreaming also can be a distraction. I'm not saying categorically it's wrong, because daydreaming is also got its very positive aspects. It's very good for relaxation. It's very good for creativity, and it's very good for energizing and putting you into a good state of mind. But it's not the ultimate aim. So enjoy your meditation, and don't worry about staying there too long. It's difficult to stay there for a long time. The yogis are trying to get in there and stay there.
Thank you, Swamiji. Ramya Rajgopal says, thank you so much, Swamiji. The experience was blissful. My question to you is, how do I practice acceptance more gracefully without squeezing my soul?
Without squeezing your soul. Let me just tell you, take a few moments if you don't mind, about this, my pet theory about the 3 A's of yoga, okay? In yoga, we're always saying, develop awareness, awareness, awareness. Be aware of this, be aware of that. Be aware of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you're reacting, how you're behaving, this and this, awareness, awareness, awareness. I think what happens is, in the beginning, when you get into this line and you start practicing awareness, sometimes you get dejected because you think, oh my God, my mind is always running all over the place. I'm always thinking this, I'm always thinking that. And you get demoralized, you know, what am I going to do? Am I ever going to get anywhere? And so your mood goes down. So along with awareness, you have to practice acceptance. It's okay. My mind went off. It's okay. I feel like this. It's okay. I've got such stupid thoughts. It's okay. I feel so negative. It's okay. So whatever you discover about yourself through awareness, make it okay. Because when you make it okay, then you can relax. And then when you relax and you make it okay, then you can think about, okay, how do I want to be? So the awareness, the A of awareness is one wing of a bird, and the A of acceptance is the other wing of the bird. So if you only have awareness, your bird is going to flap around and go around in circles. And if you add acceptance, then you can go forward, because as much as awareness you're going to have, you're also going to have acceptance, so you can move forward. Then, once you've perfected awareness with acceptance and you've made it totally okay to be as you are, because after all, we are fallible human beings, then you can think about attitude or direction. And that is the tail of the bird that tells where it wants to go. So attitude is what you want to develop. You've already been aware and discovered how you are. You've already accepted that it's okay to be that way. And now, what do I want to do with it? Where do I want to go? And how do I want to develop? That's where you become creative and you mold yourself into your best version with attitude, cultivating the positive attitudes that you admire, that you feel are worthy. And Sankalpa is a really great way to do that also. So that's my thing of acceptance. Just say, it's okay. Whatever it is, it's okay. Right?
Thank you, Swamiji. Wonderful explanation. Going forward, Vaishali says, what practice do you recommend for person on remission from cancer?
There's a very good book that I use for cancer patients. It's called Getting Well Again by Carl Simonton, C-A-R-L. If someone could write it in the chat, it would be really nice. Getting Well Again by Carl Simonton. It's quite an old book, but it's fantastic. And I use it for the visualization for self-healing of cancer. And that's a really good visualization to do. Along with that, of course, you need some life-changing things like, do what you really want to do in life. Take risks and really do what your heart wants you to do. Eat good food, fresh juices, and all those things. And have good exercise, good friends, good company, good things that you like to do. And just, whatever it is that's been burdening you, throw it out and follow your heart and just do what you really want to do. Because if you've had cancer, probably it's a kind of a nudge to say that you're not really able to accept the life that you're living, and therefore this cancer has come to force you to change your life. And so it's worthwhile to change, because you could die, and if you do the things you really want to do in life, you could live, or you could at least experience that before you die. Anyway, we're going to all die one day. So sorry for being so frank, but that book is really good. You could follow that.
Thank you, Swamiji. Subramonian says, is it normal to feel drowsy during the practice?
It is very normal to feel drowsy during the practice. And that's one thing that I appreciated about Pradeep's talk yesterday. He said that if you feel drowsy, open your eyes. And I've also found that if you keep your eyes open, it's much easier not to feel sleepy. Because, we associate closed eye with sleep. The other thing I say, if you're feeling sleepy, is take deep breaths, because that will bring more oxygen to your brain. So usually when we're focusing on the breath in meditation, we stipulate that the breathing must be relaxed and natural. But if you take deep breaths, if you're sleepy and you take deep breaths as you're doing your meditation, it'll really help to get more oxygen to your brain. And if you keep your eyes open, that also will help to stay awake. So you could keep your eyes open and look at a jyoti flame, or at the blank wall, or if you're lying down at the ceiling, it really helps. Oh, and one more thing. I've been asking myself, why is it that we feel sleepy when we do meditation or chanting? I think it's because the state of sleep is very close to the state of meditation. And so it kind of like we got to pass through very close to it. And so sometimes we drop into that part instead of going into the other part.
Thank you, Swamiji. We will take up the one more last question. And as we are running off the time, we will ask Swamiji to answer the questions later, and we will post on the WhatsApp group for you all. So I will take up one last question for you, Swamiji. It is from Dilip. He says, how would you associate dharana with headaches when we try to concentrate deeper?
If you're getting a headache during dharana, it could be that you're trying too hard and you're concentrating too hard. Another thing it could be is that the position of your head is not good and you're straining your neck, and that is creating headache. Another thing it could be is that there's some deep-seated tension or trauma or experience that is trying to come up from your deep subconscious, and it's manifesting as a headache. It wants to be, it wants to come out and be known, but it doesn't know how to do it, and so it comes out as a headache. So try and look at these different things and see what is the reason for your headache. Is it because you're, some people sit for meditation like this, they're trying really hard to keep their mind still. Is it because you're concentrating too hard, or is it because your head is in the wrong position and you're creating some pinched nerve or pain there? Or is it because there's something deep inside trying to come out, and it's kind of knocking on your door by saying, I'm here in the form of a headache, please have a look at me and see what I am.
Thank you, Swamiji. It was so wonderful. You have answered many of the questions with a beautiful explanation here. And I would like to thank you all the participants for wonderful feedback. And I can see that a lot of people here have participated, and all have enjoyed the session, and especially your meditation part. I would like to mention, going forward, if you wish to contact any of the teachers from the webinar series, please contact Nirakula Yoga. We will be able to share the details with you. and we are going to put it in the chat box as well. So please make a note of it. And now stay tuned and kindly follow us on the Instagram and Facebook for our next upcoming programs. All the sessions are recorded and are made available on Niracula Yoga YouTube channel. Kindly make use of it. Now Sri Amaresh would like to thank each one of the teachers who were with us on this wonderful 1 week journey. Over to you, sir.
Namaste all. Please stay with us. I will not take more than 2 minutes. On this occasion of 7th International Yoga Day, Niracula and Sattva, together with various yoga schools, organized discourse on yoga practice for well-being with different styles of yoga practices in the morning. I would like to thank each one of the teachers who agreed to make these practical sessions very successful. Day 1, we had Hatha Yoga by Sri Charan CS from Niracula Yoga. Thank you, Charan, for a beautiful, well-balanced practice. Day 2, we had Yin Yoga by Srimati Annalise Pierce. Thank you, Annalise, for a wonderful session. It was well appreciated by the participants. So day 3, we had Kundalini Yoga by Srimati Pascal. Thank you, Pascal, being with us, and for powerful session. We saw different dimensions of yoga in your session. Day 4, we had sound meditation by Sri Sriram Wakade. Thank you, Sriram, for taking us a different world. Day 5, today we had mantra meditation by Dr. Sri Arvind N. Bhatt. He explained very well on importance of mantra chanting. Thank you, sir. Once again, thank you all for wonderful sessions. And evenings, we had theme-based lecture series on Ashtanga Yoga for well-being based on Sage Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Day 1, we had talk on yamas and niyamas by Sri Nagaraj Rao, giving insights from the Vyasa Bhashya. Also, Nagaraj sir attended all our evening sessions without missing. Thank you, sir, for continuing support by being with us throughout. Day 2, we had talk on asanas by Sri Sandipani Manur, how to achieve asana siddhi by using simple methods. Day 3, we had talk on pranayama by Sri Vijesh Vatakandi. He gave insights how to approach pranayama as a yoga teacher and practitioner. Day 4, we had talk on pratyahara by Sri Pradeep Satvamaya. He explained pratyahara from Yoga Sutra point of view and also from Ayurveda perspective. Day 5, today we had talk on Dharana and Dhyana by Swami Yogaratna. Thank you, Swamiji, for insightful session, and also you gave us a wonderful techniques how to be with oneself. So my heartfelt pranams to one and all for agreeing and making this program so successful. Pranams to all our participants being there for all sessions, practicing and listening, making this program more successful. Also, all our technical team and our curators, Srimati Swarnalata, Sri Kumar Keshav, Sri Tejas, Miss Rati Kopika, Srimati Navita, Srimati Varuna Vasista, my heartfelt pranams to you all for making this program very successful. Thanks. And also, I wanted to thank all our donors, and we will be coming up with this meaningful workshop soon. Once again, my pranams from Niracula and Sattva. Shubharatri. Namaste.
Namaste. Niracula is a yogashala which firmly believes in promoting the ancient yogic tradition in the strictest sense and in its entirety. All our courses, may it be short-termed or long-termed, have in them the essence of mantra, tantra and yantra, guided by the principles of Yoga Parampara put forth by the Maharishis like Patanjali, Swatmarama and others. Hence, at Nirakula, the courses have been formulated keeping in mind the vastness. Namaste. Nirakula is a yogashala which firmly believes in promoting the ancient yogic tradition in the strictest sense and in its entirety. All our courses, may it be short-termed or long-termed, have in them the essence of mantra, tantra and yantra, guided by the principles of Yoga Parampara put forth by the Maharishis like Patanjali, Swatmarama